The Bravo 700 is a Brazilian airplane that was built from 1996 to 2016 by a company called Aero Bravo. This little airplane has a colorful development history. Legend says that in the 80s, during a Sun and Fun fly-in, Colombian aerodynamicist Máximo Tedesco and his colleague, Frank-Canadian Chris Hines, began sketches of what they intended to be an ultralight built the same way that an airplane was built. Ultralights then were still mostly very basic rag and tube designs. The result was the Stall CH-701, which had slats on the leading edge of the wings and that could take off and land really short. Then Máximo Tedesco returned to Colombia, Chris Hines returned to Canada, and both started building the CH-701 in their respective countries. After a while, Tedesco decided to improve on the project, including longer wings, a more spacious cabin, and a different, more conventional empennage. The resulting design was called the MXP-740. At that time, Brazilian engineer Fábio Homem de Carvalho Filho had established a business importing to Brazil and assembling there the Colombian-built 701. He tried to import the MXP-740 as well, but a series of difficulties and obstacles led him to change his mind. Fábio then made an agreement with the Colombian manufacturer and decided to develop his own version of the MXP-740 in Brazil, and that's how our Bravo 700 came to be. The Bravo 700 is therefore a development of the original project. Among the evolutionary changes, there's the fact that the Bravo doesn't have slats on the wings, which resulted in a considerable improvement in cruise speed, with only a small compromise in terms of runway performance. The development history of this project doesn't stop here, with the Italian ICP having later designed a much improved version of the MXP-740, called the Savannah S. But that's a different subject, and we'll cover it on another video. Let's have a closer look at our likable little Bravo 700. It's 21 feet 7 inches long, with a wingspan of 29 feet and 6 inches. It was offered with the option of either an 80 horsepower or a 100 horsepower Rotax. This unit, built in 2013, has a 100 horsepower Rotax 912S. The prop on this Bravo 700 is a 3-bladed carbon fiber unit built in Brazil by Speedwork. It replaces the American warp drive and it has ground adjustable pitch. Oil is checked through this inspection door on the cowling. The airplane tested carries 26.4 gallons of fuel, 25 usable, divided in 2 tanks. Another pair of tanks was offered as optional, which would allow the little airplane to carry 50 gallons of usable fuel for a good 10 hours of endurance. It's important to check the integrity of the fuel tank vents prior to every flight. They're made of a thin metal, and if damaged or smashed, fuel tank venting will be compromised. Okay, let's get inside. The yoke is Y-shaped and stems from the center of the cabin, so there's free room for entering and exiting the airplane. There's a power lever for each occupant. That's a welcome feature for primary flight instruction, since the instructor has a power lever of his own, allowing for quick action if necessary. You fly the Bravo with your right hand when seated on the left. The PTT is on the yoke grip. The pitch trim is electric and is located right above the power lever. Flaps on this unit are also electric and operated through these buttons. This unit has a Garmin Era 500 GPS installed on the panel. The Bravo 700 is a diminutive aircraft seen from the outside, but it surprisingly carries two big adults almost comfortably. People as tall as 6'3" would have no problem with headroom or legroom. Shoulders do rub, but not uncomfortably so. The baggage compartment is accessible from the inside and is located behind the seats. Fuel shutoff valves, one for each tank, are located here. Okay then, clear prop! The airplane is of metal monocoque construction. The nose gear is directly linked to the pedals, which makes taxiing very easy. Okay, let's fly. We took off at maximum takeoff weight with 2 adults on board and full tanks. Departing from a grass runway with an outside temperature of 75 Fahrenheit, 5 knots on the nose, and an altimeter setting of 30.06, the Bravo needed 500 feet for takeoff. On climb with almost full power and maintaining between 60 and 70 miles per hour, we saw a climb rate of 500 to 700 feet per minute. We leveled off at 3,500 feet and adjusted 5,000 RPM. Even though we were quite heavy, the little airplane developed 90 miles per hour indicated, which we calculated to be 84 knots true. With wide open throttle, our TAS was 92 knots. In terms of flying qualities, the Bravo 700 is very compliant. Controls are light and there is plenty of authority in all axes. Directional stability is adequate and the airplane behaves predictably throughout the envelope. In the traffic pattern, we plan to maintain around 60 miles per hour on final, which is pretty conservative for this machine. Lower approach speeds are the usual for pilots with greater intimacy with the airplane. In fact, a pilot with enough experience in this machine could land it in basically no runway. The Bravo 700 is a sightseeing airplane that offers an easy, unpretentious way to fly. It would never win a beauty contest or hold any kind of high-speed record, but it uses almost no runway, it cruises effortless at 85 knots, and it is a delight to fly. You have to try hard not to like an airplane like this.